if you're advertising on platforms like, Facebook, YouTube, or TikTok, for example, then you may have experienced that it's been a bumpy ride, kind of like what my wife experienced in that video, because obviously there's been quite a few changes in advertising land over the past year or so, and especially after I've been able to reach over 300 million people with my own ads, fully knowing what the impact is on my business, to have finally been able to figure out how to run ads profitably. It just pains me to see that some people almost want to give up on advertising altogether. It literally blows my mind, right? Which is why I need to put this video out there to, first of all, A, tell you that there's actually a massive opportunity to take advantage on, and B, help you run more profitable ads by sharing one of my winning ad formulas that you can immediately, apply into your own business, no strings attached. And this framework is actually responsible for multi-7 figures in revenue for my own businesses easily, right? Oh, and by the way, my wife wasn't hurt. She's all good. Now, just in case we haven't met before, my name is Wilco the Kreij, and I'm probably best described as a marketing nerd. I've been running ads profitably, I have to add, for quite a few years now, spending millions of my own money across multiple platforms. And you know what they say about Dutch people, right? We hate to waste money. So rest assured, I split tested everything I could to figure out what's actually working and what's not. And probably as a result of that, Entrepreneur.com referred me to was one of the top Facebook ads experts, and I was able to help over 40,000 advertisers to increase their ROAS, and got recommended by people like Roland Fraser, Tim Burke, Neil Patel, and many, many others. Now, just for transparency, I don't own that company anymore, which I suppose is a good thing, because it means that A, first of all, I have nothing to sell you in this video, and B, I can actually openly share everything I know. So with that, let's jump in. First of all, I've got a quick question for you, and that is, whether you've noticed the trend that's currently going on, like in the world, like online with ads, right? Because besides all the privacy changes that's been happening, there's been another huge shift happening in the advertising world, which is the type of content that we all, like everyone, is consuming, right? You probably already know what I'm talking about. Video, right? Because thanks to platforms like TikTok entering the market, video consumption is way up worldwide, no matter how you measure it. And all the other platforms are heavily investing in this trend as well. Simply put, people consume videos like never before. Now, why is this important to us? Because this opens up an immense opportunity for those who want to grab it. Because where in the past you could get away with like image ads or text-based ads, video is where it's at going forward. And this is the exciting part, because video ads have always been my highest converting ads, period. Which makes sense, right? Because after all, if a picture is worth 1,000 words, then a video is worth, well, you get the picture, right? And that's not even the best part, because what's even more exciting is that although demand is up, right, the competition on video ads is actually relatively low, or at least not many know how to properly run video ads in a way that actually turns non-customers into customers at scale at a profit, right? And this happens to be something that I've spent a ridiculously amount of time on, like you probably wouldn't believe. So running video ads has always been my sweet spot, and over time I learned exactly what video ads work and which ones don't, right? And as a result, I have a series of frameworks, patterns that I recognize that are working, that I can easily deploy every time I want to run ads for any type of business, so that I immediately can start out with an advantage. And on top of those, I then have various tricks up my sleeves to make sure that those videos actually convert. But I'll keep that for another video, which I'll probably drop in a few days or so. So what I want to do here is share one of those frameworks with you, so you can actually apply it to your business, so you can record a video ad and know what to say to make sure that non-customers would want to convert into customers. And this particular framework is what I call a story-based video ad, which I mainly use for cold audiences, so top of funnel, for long-form video ads that are a couple minutes long, right? So I got different frameworks for each part of the funnel, for different segments and different placements, etc. But let's cover one at a time. So to be clear, this is essentially what I'd be saying in a video, like how I would script a certain video. And also, just so you know, you don't have to record a video yourself, but I'll touch base on that in a different video as well. So with that, let's jump in. So essentially, every one of my frameworks is like a recipe of like what to say in a video ad. In this case, like I mentioned, this is a story-based ad. So it's a bit of a longer video, because it goes through a certain story to get people to actually buy into the thing that you want them to do. It doesn't mean that you have to buy something. It could be to sign up for a training, could be to go through a certain piece of content, could be to sign up for a call, whatever the call to action would be, right? But I use a certain story to get people essentially into movement, especially if they've never heard of you or your brand before, to get people to be intrigued and into your world, whatever step that would be, whether that's, again, to buy something, to sign up for something, to leave their details, whatever that might be, right? And again, I go through various steps, and that's what I want to go through in the next section. So the very first thing is I do a hook. I want to do a bold promise to grab the attention. This literally is just a few seconds to make sure, whenever they see the ad, to make sure that they stop and then actually want to keep on watching, right? And right after, I add some credibility, right? I don't want to talk too much about myself, but it does help to have some kind of credibility in terms of like what this is going to be about, to make sure like, hey, this guy or this girl or this brand, this person, this company knows what they're talking about, whatever credentials they might have. In other words, why would they believe in you? But as soon as you talk about that, why would they believe in you as a business or as a person, right? They might not relate too much with you anymore, right? Because like they have a certain problem that you as a company is resolving, and they still have that problem, and now you are seen to be the expert, so you don't have that problem anymore. And that's why right afterwards, make clear that you used to be like that. Make sure that if you have your origin story about the problem that you are resolving in your company for your clients, that you actually experience that as well, if that is the case, right? So right after, then you'll remind them of that problem, right? Mention what the problem is. Again, the problem that your product or service is actually resolving, right? Mention what it was like when you had that problem. So we're not just talking about the problem, right? But like, what does it feel to have that problem? Again, we're talking about a story, which is sort of like an emotional thing that we're going to take our people on, all right? And then when you talk about what when you had that problem, what was it that changed it? Or like, what changed that you saw like, hey, wow, there's actually a solution for this particular problem. There was a point in time probably where you figured out like, the problem that you as a business is solving, you had that problem, and there was something that happened that like, wow, there's a solution to it, and you figured it out, right? So what flipped things around for you, and how did you find that solution, right? And then once you explain like, hey, I found this solution, then you want to explain, why does that work so much better? Like, so you spoke about the problem, you spoke about like, hey, you figured out there's a way to resolve that problem, right? And they're listening to your story, how you felt about it. And then you explain not just that it happened, but why does it work so much better? What's the reason why your solution that you discovered, the one that you also want to get people into, why does it work so much better, right? And as soon as because as soon as you give them a reason why it works better, like it makes more sense, right? Like it makes people are more eager to react to something if they understand why that actually happened. But then next thing is like, is it actually true? Like you could say it, right? So right after you want to share proof. So you have the problem, you talk about how you figured out, hey, there's actually a solution. You explain why it's working better than anything else. And then you have proof as well from like maybe your experience and things like that. And then right on top of that, ideally also some endorsements, like other people who already been experiencing that problem that you resolved it for them or with them, or like maybe customer testimonials or something along those lines. And then so that's when you introduce the actual offer with a call to action. Now, when I say offer, again, this is an ad. We're not trying to right away be pushy. Depends on what you do, but like oftentimes it could be like, again, leave your details, sign up for a webinar, sign up for a training, buy my book, or like, whatever it may be. So when I say offer, it's whatever the thing is you want them to join on, right? So again, it doesn't really matter what that is. It could be to buy something right away. It could be something on the front of the funnel in case you don't want them to buy right away. But at that point, I mentioned the offer, right? Because you had the whole story, which, we want to keep condensed, obviously, but then you make the offer with a call to action. And that's the first time where you're like, yeah, I can actually, you have the problem, you experienced the problem, you figured out how it actually, how you resolved it and why it works so much better. And then there's proof, and then endorsements as well. It was like at this point, like, hey, by the way, if you go here, you can, you can take advantage of this, like you can buy this or you can sign up for a webinar. So that's the first call to action, but that's not enough, because right after, ideally you add extra benefits. So right now you already sold them on it, and you can then say like, hey, if you do that right now, like again, if it's a training or if you buy something, if you there's extra benefits, there's extra bonuses, there's more reasons. Like, hey, another thing that I'm going to share with you on that training, if it will be a training, or if it's something to buy, like, hey, right now we're having a special offer where if you buy right now, you get these extra bonuses. You want to give extra reasons because you already got them to that point, but then you want to increase what they would get if they go and move forward to the next stage. And then also you want to remove the risk, right? Because with anything there's risk. Even if you think, but I'm giving something away for free, people always experience risk. It might be like, but I'm busy, I don't want to spend time, so reduce the risk. Like, if you were selling something, you could reduce risk by offering a refund guarantee. If you're getting people to sign up for a webinar, you can say like, hey, you can have some testimonies from people who went to your webinar and shared like, hey, this was the best webinar ever. Like, I would not have want to risk it. Like, you add more proof that what it is actually worth their time. You remove the risk, right? And then ideally, if that is the case, some limitation as well, in case there's a small number of people, or in case it's only open for a certain amount of time, to increase the urgency, to make sure they actually move forward towards the next step. And ideally, again, some more results stacked on top of that, whereafter I also want to remind them what they'll get. Again, what is the thing you're actually offering? Whether it's something for sale, or whether it's a training, or whether it's a book, what is it that you want them to take forward, move forward into your funnel, right? And then at the very end, another call to action. You can do 3 different kind of call to actions. You can mix and match. You can do 1, you can do 2, you can do 3, for example. So you could have an emotional call to action, which is more like, where you really touch base on the emotion. You can have a more logical, right, where you reiterate the justification that, why it's logical that they should move forward, why it makes sense for them. Or you can have more of a fear-based call to action, like what happens if you do not take, like you don't have to do it, but like, you would still have that problem, even though you can solve it if you do X, Y, and Z, right? So these are different types of call to action. And that's essentially the script in a very nutshell. Obviously, take some practice to do it well, but this is like, altogether usually like 3-4 minutes in total, even though it seems like a lot, but like 3-4 minutes in total if you have it all. And that's a very strong way to get new people, like people who've never heard of you before, into your world. Doesn't mean that they immediately buy, but that's the way to get them into your world in the right way, so that you can then get them to actually buy the things with follow-up ads and things like that. This is something that's been generating, multi 7 figures for our businesses easily, and I highly recommend you to give this a shot as well. So hopefully this has been helpful, and you've been able to get some ideas from this. And most of all, hopefully this is inspiring you to start running video ads, because the opportunity is huge. But obviously, I also understand that this can feel quite overwhelming. I remember before I started my very first video ad, it was completely overwhelming, and it completely failed and it bombed, right? Unfortunately, over time, I learned how to do it. I learned that I don't have to record my ads myself, how to actually do it in a way that's way more efficient. But also I learned some tricks to make sure my ads are way more successful, like they convert better, and I have a way higher odds compared to everyone else, while it actually takes me less time to record them. And I know this seems like a lot, here's the guy talking about how to get better conversions and spend less time, yada yada. So what I'll do is in a couple of days time, I'll drop another content video, which actually I'm going to break down my exact way how I'm doing that. It's actually pretty cool, and not a lot of people are doing it, but it's super easy to do. You can even do that with your iPhone, whatever you prefer. So I'll drop that in a couple of days time or so. I think you'll like it. Again, better conversions, less time. Who doesn't want that? So with that, if you appreciate this video, let me know down in the comments. And with that, I'll see you in the next video.